As you know, science is everywhere in the world around us. From molecular bonding to gravity, our lives are governed by scientific concepts, both large and small. In fact, man's use of science is so common, people often use it without even thinking about it.
Although it may be difficult to picture, not all modern applications of chemistry are directly related to scientific discovery. The use of household cleaners is an exceptional example of chemical reactions taking place. As a cleaner is applied to an affected area, chemical bonds break, allowing for stains to be removed from affected areas. Other combinations of chemicals are used to dissolve solid substances that have bonded to other solid substances. For example, in order to clean moldable gypsum off of dental molds, a commercial solution containing either hydrochloric acid or perchloric acid is used. As the acid reacts with this calcium sulfate, a component of gypsum, the hardened gypsum softens and is stripped off of the dental mold. Of course, major scientific discoveries provide an excellent use of our society's scientific knowledge. In fact, on April 6, 2009, researchers at Eindhoven University of Technology revealed a brand new method for starting chemical reactions. They discovered the ability to use mechanical forces to control catalytic activity. By pulling on a molecular ripcord, two polymer chains with a weak metal bond between them, various chemical reactions can be initiated. As the polymer chains are pulled apart, the metal catalyst breaks in two, exposing a ligand, a molecular cap. The metal ion then becomes catalytically active, allowing chemical reactions to accelerate. It is believed that this technology would allow some inorganic materials to be self-repairing.
In the following video, you will see representations of modern science in action, both large and small, mixed in with some mystery and magic. Placed in a familiar setting, our story revolves around four basic pieces of chalk who find themselves in an unusual predicament. Please join me as we follow our friends as they developed their calcified creation.
There sits in a dark room an ominous-looking table. At that table sits 4 pieces of chalk. Of these 4 pieces of chalk, all are broken in some way, or cracked from bite marks, blunt force, or just plain scratches, or from deliberate abuse. All have eyes, heavy and foreboding, and they all sit in together, thinking of one thing.
There must be something done about Professor Kenny.
I agree. He has scared our kind long enough. Something must be done about them.
What shall we do then?
Our revenge has to be something terrible and painful. Something that reflects our hatred.
Yes, I am thinking that we should hurt him.
Then the scene changes and darkens as the panel shifts over to a shadowy figure with characteristically spiky hair. To the leader, Ray. Ray opens his eyes. His eyes are large and dark.
Yes, we will hurt him. We will hurt him like he has us. And it will be a plan worth all those years. It must satisfy the rage for what he has done.
I have something we may do.
What is it, Nan? Gouging out his eyes?
No, something worse. When there was a lecture on stoichiometry, I remember he picked me up and snapped my legs off. We shall snap off his legs.
All agree except Steve S., who looks like he has something on his mind.
No, when there was a lecture on organic chemistry, he ground my face with his teeth. I say we should take something to grind his face and watch meat pieces fall on the floor.
Yeah! They all cried in agreement, except Steve B., who looked like he had something to say.
No! I have something better than both.
What? The other two say.
We shall break him up into small pieces like he did my cousin, Blue, during his lecture on kinetics. He crumpled Blue up like he was nothing at all as his mother watched in horror. He will pay.
All 3 cheer in unison, but then the panel turns to the corner and the darkness shifts to a spiky-haired figure whose eyes again brighten up in the dark. Ray speaks up.
No!
All fall silent.
We shall do something worse than all those combined.
The light shifts and shines onto a more crazed-looking, spiky-faced chalk with glowing eyes.
We shall eat him!
All look at him in fear and confusion, but then cheer.
How are we going to eat him?
Darkness, melodrama, and the eyes of Ray.
We will make it!
The sound of crickets comes about with blank stares.
What? How in the world are we going to do that?
Darkness, melodrama, and the eyes of Ray.
We will build it! Look there! All around!
They all look around, and there are piles of chalk dust, limbs and pieces everywhere, piled over the years of chalk carnage from Professor Kenny.
We will put our brethren together, and it will be for all of us. We will build a monster!
A monster?
Yes, a monster! It will be the broken pieces of our brothers and aunts, uncles, sisters, cousins, nephews, neighbors, grandparents, and all that. Yes, it is quite a list.
Brilliant!
They all cheer, and one of them says, "Let's get started." The panel slides into a scene of just a mass of chalk, parts and pieces, and pretty much the process of building the monster. And as this is going, there is a show of progression of time. And then the panel scene will open with Professor Kenny teaching class and a strange piece of chalk with spiky features rolling on the table. So, class, blah blah blah. London dispersion forces are not as powerful as hydrogen bonds. Henderson Hasselbank is your best friend. Moles are for losers. Use millimoles. Or at least you aren't taking calculus. So now, class, I'm going to put on the board the following formula. But first, I need a piece of chalk. The professor notices a piece of chalk with a strange top on the table. Oh, here's a piece. Professor Kenny goes to pick up the piece of chalk and notices that the chalk is kind of rough looking. But he shrugs and turns back to the class to write on the board. So, okay class, as I was doing. Kenny goes to write, but when he notices the chalk gets warm, he looks down at it. What in the world? The chalk is Ray, and he starts to sprout hair, eyes, arms, legs, and mouth.
Ah, Kenny! Your chalk-abusing days are over.
What? What are you talking about? I have done no such thing.
You have, and we have proof. We are the broken pieces.
Steve S. and Steve C. are on the edge of the board, and Nana is behind. Wait, how can you talk?
Silence! We are the ones you thought time forgot, but we are not!
That time forgot? What does it matter? You're simple pieces of chalk. You're nothing even if you're talking pieces of chalk. Oh please, you're simple materials for beginner's chemistry. Besides, who cares? So what? I did those things. And I will do it again, and again, and again, and again. And you know what? It was delicious.
Well, this time, you are the one on the munching block. Nan, hit it!
Nan hits the switch. The board comes apart and reveals monster chalk. Nan flips the switch and activates the chalk, and the monster starts up. The students run out of the room at this point, and Kenny squares off. The process used to create the monster is quite advanced. First, being very quick and efficient workers, the chalk studied the work of Dr. Victor Frankenstein in order to learn how to reanimate body parts. Then, they studied the most scientific regeneration process available. Since common blackboard chalk is made out of calcium sulfate, the calcium is used in a metal complex and connected by two polymer chains, creating an inactive catalyst that would activate upon rupture. The catalyst would allow the monster to have regenerative abilities, or so the chalk believed. The monster was a spectacle to behold, and his power was undeniable. At first, the monster moves slowly at Kenny, but then speeds up and eats him up. And inside the monster, Kenny lights a match to see what is going on, and wonders what Butler would do. By just mentioning these words, the lab coat he was wearing is now glowing like a rainbow.
This is impossible. Well, apparently not impossible, but as improbable as a professor at this university teaching barefoot. But wait! That's it! Everyone has a purpose, and it's finally time to call out Butler for help. Ah, here's the password. Let's see. Butler is a barefoot bum. 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 My lab coat, it's activated.
Once the lab coat activates, his pockets activate and a mini chemistry lab appears. Kenny then reveals a bottle of HCl and a small bottle of distilled H2O. Now when the calcium sulfate, CaSO4, common blackboard chalk, combines with water and heat to form gypsum, Kenny superheats the reaction to 100 degrees Celsius with his magical Technicolor lab coat, whose linen just so happens to always stay at constant 25 degrees Celsius, preventing Kenny from getting burned. Then, knowing gypsum is soluble in hot dilute HCl, he uses his hydrochloric acid on the gypsum. After some twisting and struggling, Professor Kenny frees himself.
But how did you escape our monster?
Did you really think that I, Master Professor of Chemistry, could not escape from your calcium sulfate encapsulament? If I wanted to, I could have just forced myself through your crumbling catastrophe. Or, if I had the time, I could have just waited for water to have dissolved it into a pile of plaster. But being the great chemist that I am, I felt it was necessary to prove my ability to get out of any situation, no matter how unconventional. Haven't you listened to any of my lectures? Either way, it is now time for me to bid you adieu, foolish chalk.
We have a matchbook, and we aren't afraid to use it.
Ah, yes, that goes by the Bunsen burner thing, too.
We're done for! Let's flee while the door is open!
So in the end, the monster was destroyed. The chalk escapes into the wild, and Kenny survives his fate. Until next time, but don't take our word for it.